2, 3. And we are live on Wrestling Bookmarks, The Return. It's been about a year since we've done something. We have John Crowther on tonight, who's going to be introducing the Bushwhackers, talking about his new project, and also the Kickstarter they have that's going to be ending tomorrow, and they want to be able to talk about that. But, John, why don't you do the honors of introducing your guest tonight?
Yeah, so here along with me, I've got, some people know them as the sheep herders. Some people know them as the New Zealand Kiwis. A lot of people also know them as the Bushwhackers. I've got Luke and Butch.
How you doing, guys?
Hey!
Whoa!
G'day. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
John the man. Great to be on your show, mate. You're looking good.
So, Butch, Butch is in New Zealand and Luke is in Florida. Is that right?
Hey, John. Is it John?
I'm John. That's Ed.
Ed, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, mate.
You can't hear me?
No.
John, can you hear me?
I hear you fine, Ed.
Okay.
I can hear both of you and Luke, the three of you, really clearly this time. Let's go.
So we'll start with Butch, and Luke can log out and back in, maybe.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Luke? Luke, can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you because I want to hear you, but the other two guys I don't care about.
That works too.
It's Ed. It's good to be on your show, mate. And it's a pleasure to have Butch and me here right before that Kickstarter finishes for our new book, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Boy, this has been a lifetime achievement, but we've told it in our way, right, Butch? Exactly, the Kiwi way. Our two Kiwis from the outback in New Zealand, way on the other side of the world. Two shaggers. Hey, Ed, two shaggers from the sharing room. Exactly. And we come over there and we took on that mountain and we climbed it and we finally reached the top, and it's been an amazing journey, some of it unbelievable stuff, but it's all true, it's all there, and I know you are going to love the book. Whoever reads it are going to fall in love with it and say, wow, not only are those guys lovable guys, but they certainly live up to their name, those crazy Kiwis.
Okay. Well, let me ask you guys a question. You guys, so you started out as the sheep herders, which a lot of people know you as, right? Where you guys were known for more, the hardcore wrestling type stuff, right?
Yeah, we were known for shagging sheep.
Right. So you get to the WWE.
Now, Ed, that's hardcore. Who can say that?
I agree.
That is hardcore.
How did you go to being the Bushwhackers? I mean, whose idea was that, and how did you make that transition?
Actually, Eddie, you missed out. We actually went overseas as Sweet William and the Brute, and Sweet William was Luke, and he had long blonde hair, the gorgeous George gimmick, and he had me on the collar and chain, leading me to the ring. By the time I got to the ring, I was so blown up that it was unbelievable, and I'd be chasing all the fans through the chairs, over the bleachers, and everything. And we did that for a while till we went to our first port of call in North America and Canada. Then we took with us our names, the Kiwis. Luke was Sweet William, and I was Crazy Nick Carter. They got my name. They looked around we were at the office, and they said, we can't call you. My surname is Miller, Bob Miller, and I was Brute Miller. They said, we can't call you Brute because we have one. We can't call you Miller because they had a couple of those somewhere. So they looked around, and on the library book, they had this this guy that was an author called Nick.
Oh, detective.
Carter.
A
Yes.
detective, Nick Carter.
I don't know what he was. He was called Nick Carter, and it was a bad one for us because in down under we say Carter like Carter. So someone would say my name, and I say, Nick Carter, and they say what? Whereas you guys say Carter. You see, they couldn't have picked the bloody worst name, mate. But anyway, that's where we got that one from, and then we ran with that for a whole couple of years. 1 year out of Grand Prix and out of Montreal, and another year out of the great Stu Hart's territory out of Stampede Wrestling, Calgary. Right, Luke?
So where did you guys like wrestling the most? What country?
Well, we love both Canada and the US, but how could you not love it? But it was the greatest thing. We enjoyed the sheep herders, the blood and guts. It was fantastic. It was our style. It was wild. But I'm not kidding you, Eddie. Not only were we doing it in the ring, we had to fight our way to the ring. We had to have the match. We had to fight our way out to the ring, into the, mostly in like Puerto Rico, in baseball parks. The other wrestlers used to come out of the bleachers and out of the baseball dugouts to help fight the crowd to get us back in one piece, back in the dressing rooms again. And this wasn't one night every now and again. This was night after night after night. We had to hide our car because otherwise we'd go to get our car and the 4 tires would be slashed on the car, or the windscreen would be smashed, or they'd ran over the top of the car and squashed it down to a matchbox size. So then they'd have to, if we're in
we had that country heat, country against country. At the moment, there was only a few tag teams in North America which was using that country heat, and we had the New Zealand flag, and we always had an American carrying our flag, which caused more heat.
So it was continually fighting, Eddie. So that was then. And when you're ready, we'll go into the Bushwhacker thing, which was a totally different experience for us, because one thing I'll say about the WWE, mate, when you join that, you're not really classed as a wrestler in the public's eye. You're classed more as a celebrity, and the difference, how they treat you, how the general public treats you, is like night and day. I mean, exactly. They would stop in the airports and say, listen, guys, they'd see us rushing to catch the next plane. They'd say, listen, guys, we know who you are, and we don't want to hold you up. We just want to say thank you so much for entertaining our families every night that wrestling's on. They love it. We love it. Keep it up. You guys are fantastic. That was from the difference with the other guys wanting to rip our heads off and getting hold of us.
Right, I can imagine that. So, John, how did you hook up with these guys?
Well, I've been friends with Luke for quite a while now, probably about 5 or 6 years. And as some people who may know who I am, I've done a lot of biographical comic books for pro wrestlers, starting in 2014 with Nikolai Volkov. And, I've been in discussions with Luke, always kind of asking him about doing a comic. And finally, at the start of COVID, or maybe about a little bit into it, around 2020 or just before, Luke approached me about saying, hey, do you want to write a real book, an autobiography? And of course I want to. How could I not? So, he contacted me with Butch, and we all started talking about it. And hey, here we are. But basically what we do is every Wednesday night for about a year and a half, we would get on, Butch liked to refer to it as our 3-ways. We would get on a little chat like this. I would turn on a recorder, and we would just talk wrestling and talk their lives all the way back from, basically when they were born in New Zealand all the way up and through their induction into the Hall of Fame in 2015.
You know, mate, John, when you think of that, how many hours did we take? We spoke a lot of hours, and we only got we got 365 pages, which was too much. But we got it. We did a lot of talking.
We did a lot. Well, we had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, cutting jokes and everything. And I can tell you, I got one of those memories that pop up on Facebook. As I used to, every once in a while, I'd grab the camera and snap a shot of us chatting. And it was from exactly a year ago. Popped up yesterday. Was one of our early discussions. So, it was like a dream come true. For wrestling fans, imagine. I was a wrestling fan since the late 70s. And I remember when the Sheep Herders came through Florida in the 80s was more of when I remembered them at that point, before they went to the WWE. And to be able to have an opportunity to chat with these guys on a weekly basis for almost 2 years, and then to become their friends, it's just basically a dream come true. And then to be able to have my name on a book that we were able to put together, it's just really a treat.
What were some of the more, was there anything that shocked you any stories that they told you that you didn't think about? Or?
Well, yeah, I don't want to give away all the shocking stories. But obviously, yeah, there's things I didn't know, things about, because, as a guy growing up, I knew them from Florida. I knew them from the WWE, but a lot of their stories, some of the crazy adventures throughout the Malay Peninsula, down into South America and Central America, the craziness of Puerto Rico. A lot of times, their lives were on the line. People don't realize.
In Singapore and all those places, we came, Ed, we did, Butch and me did all that area first before we come to North America. So the book starts off, John has got the base of it, where wrestling started in 2000, in 1930, 1920, 40s. He's put the base there so everybody knows the structure from the country we come. But then all of a sudden the book breaks wide open when me and Butch come in it. So people have got to just read the start first to see how the country is. We had Jim Landos. We had a lot of wrestlers come out there, Hackenschmidt, in the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all Americans. I don't know how they got there, whether they paddled, come on a boat, or there was a plane, whatever. But then all of a sudden, you in the 60s, you come into a different, when Butch and me get on board, and we come in, the book starts getting on fire. And I don't want to get into it, because you got to read it to get.
You don't want to give the book away, but I think so. A lot of people probably know you guys as the Bushwhackers, right? So I think what's interesting to me is, what was it like going from what you guys were doing, where you were, wrestling, and that, probably, being maybe more hated, going towards that more entertainment, being the Bushwhackers, the lovable, the fan favorites.
Mate,
was that hard for you guys, or?
Ed, we were professionals. We'd been around the business. By the time we saw, from 65, we tagged up, 70, 65, 66 to 88. We've been in the business 22, 23 years. I've been a few years longer than Butch. And that we realized, that this is the business. We saw it a business a long time ago anyhow. Not like the guys today are still trying to get over. We saw this as a business that we could make money, and when we got the opportunity with Vince, we ran with it.
Okay.
And then they when Vince got hold of Luke, we were working out in the gym, and Luke had already finished his workout, and I was still doing a bit of mine. He took the phone call, and then afterwards, when I came out of the gym, he told me, and he says, "Mate, you'll never guess who's called." And I said, "Who?" And he said, "The WWE. They want us to come up and have a meeting. They want us aboard." And he says, "What do you think?" We were just getting a really big push from the WCW. They were just putting the American belts on us, as pacifiers, and we were doing a big angle around the territory with the Rock and Roll Express, which was ideal for us because their size was great, and as you know, they were great workers. But unfortunately, one of them got laid off for a while. I don't want to say it any other way. And that run was going to be over before it even started. And we were thinking, wow, what should we do? And all of a sudden, we both looked at each other and we said, what are we doing? The WWE are calling us to come up there. Of course, we're going to go up there. So
we said, hey, Ed, we sent tapes to them since Vince Sr. You know, when Vince Sr. was in office, but he always wanted a bigger man. So we've been sending stuff to them, but nothing could come back. You know what I mean?
So that first meeting, now where were you guys when you got that phone call? What state were you in?
Columbus, Ohio.
Atlanta.
Remember, Butch was still in the gym doing his drum. He always had a small drum. I always carried a big midsection.
Okay, so you guys take the first meeting. Where was it at?
The first was in his office, in Connecticut.
Okay.
And we went inside. Anyhow, let me cut it short to the cake because I got a meeting. Anyhow, we went in the office and Vince introduced himself to us. G'day Kiwis and that. And he said straight away, I'd like to bring you in as fucking faces. And I looked at Butch and Butch looked at me. And of course, I piped up. Being in the business and working in offices over the years as a booker, I said, well, bring us in as heels and turn us baby faces. Straight away, you don't tell Caesar what to do. That was one of my first mistakes. And then Butch said, look at these fucking heads. How can you make these fucking heads? Butch hopped up on the desk and put his nose down a foot away from Vince's nose. And said, how can you make these baby faces? And Butch and Vince said, look at the heads on my top baby faces. They're not the prettiest fucking smilers. Look at Hulk Hogan. Look at Randy Savage. Look at Jake the Snake. Look at Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They're not the prettiest kissers, are they? So that's what he said. Go for it, and hence we went for it.
Yeah.
So what was that like? I mean, you're on TV every week. You got toy. You got action figures. You're on magazine covers. I mean, that's got to do something to you, right?
We had sleeping bags, Bushwhacker sleeping bags, Bushwhacker bedding, Bushwhacker pajamas, Bushwhacker curtains, Bushwhacker everything. They had so many stuff out there and merchandise, Bushwhacker stuff. It was unbelievable.
We could have even whacked your bush.
Unbelievable. It really was.
I remember going to a show in New Haven, Connecticut. I was probably like 11 years old. And I think one of you licked my head going to the ring. Do you remember that?
After millions and millions of people.
If he actually licked your head, it was probably Butch, wasn't it? Who was it that used to lick the back of their hand?
Me.
Yeah, so it was probably Butch if he actually licked your head.
Right. I think it was. I think it probably was. Yeah, that was in New Haven. That was in New Haven Coliseum. Butch, we can't hear you.
I think it's from licking your head.
I can't hear you, Butch. I can't hear Butch.
We're gonna move him down to the corner.
Yeah, moving to the. He's in the corner now. I don't know what's going. He's gonna have to pop out and come back in. Now you guys were on a TV show as well, right? Were you guys on Family Matters? I think it was.
Yeah, Bush or Luke, did you hear him?
Yeah, I heard him, but I'm trying to get Butch. Butch.
Hang on. I gotta kick him. He's gotta come back.
This always happens with Butch. We have to throw him out and bring him back in. But if we throw him out, Ed, we can't always get him back in.
I know. I could see that being an issue. Yeah. So, Luke, what are you doing in your post wrestling days?
My post wrestling days, I'm still in the ring every weekend.
Okay, good for you.
Last weekend I was in the ring in Vermont. In Vermont, I'm in the ring 3 weekends a month. I'm on the road every weekend.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I think we just saw a record recently. Luke is either the second or the first oldest active wrestler in the world right now.
Number second. Great Kushika in Japan is number one. I'm number second. They're still working full time in the ring. Well, I'm not working full time. At least 2 to 3 times a month. But I work every weekend.
There we go.
This weekend I'm in San Antonio. Saturday I'm in a store in San Antonio in a mall, in a mall signing, and then Sunday I'm at a live show.
Yeah, I'm back, guys.
Butch is back.
Went blank, but I'm back.
Butch, I'm this weekend, mate. I'm in River City Wrestling in San Antonio. River City Wrestling for San Antonio.
Oh, great.
That's where Butch got married on the riverbank. His
nice.
marriage was there on the riverbank in San Antonio.
I married an American girl.
That San Antonio was vicious, Ed. We couldn't go out there. We had so much heat with the Latins there. It was, and the tag team we had against was 2 great guys who I was with last week. I was with one of them, Manny Fernandez. But we had Dick Murdoch, the Captain Redneck, and we had Manny Fernandez, the crazy Mexican. So we're in Texas. We had a Mexican and a fucking redneck as our opposition, which were ideal guys to work with around the country, around Texas.
Exactly, and the gimmick was that Blanchard, who was the promoter, and Luke was the booker. They were bringing in guys from all over the country, great babyface tag teams or even heel tag teams, to get rid of us. That was the story, and we were the first babyfaces in America to work a babyface tag team to work against the Road Warriors. That was the first match was in Waco, Texas, against the Road Warriors. And the funny part about it is they'd ran over every tag team in Atlanta. They were hurting guys. They didn't really know the business. And they were just running rampant over everybody. When we came to, we didn't get to see them, but we heard that they wanted to be they thought they would be the heels. And we said, no. Anyway, Luke and I knew that there's no way that the public would treat us as baby faces because we had that much heat. When we got in the ring, Luke and I had a motor on us in those days. We never stopped from the time the bell went to the time it finished. We had Hawk blowing up over the ropes, spewing, absolutely been sick over the front row seat people. He was completely and utterly blown.
I gotta tell
Animal couldn't even tag in. He was dragging for air.
I gotta stop the story there. I gotta stop the story.
Yeah.
You know what Bush just said, Ed? Hawk went over to the ropes. This was 5 minutes into the match because we switched back and forth. Hawk went over the ropes and puked into the crowd, right? The kid in the front row said, "Look, Daddy, just like Kabuki, but this has got lumps in it." Kabuki blew out the green chunks. The green
The
mist.
green mist.
Yeah, but this one was the green and yellow with chunks in it. And we had that on television. The kids said, look at Dad, it's got chunks in it. Anyhow, I got to bring it back again, Butch, too. So Butch pulls him over to the corner, and I hold him from behind, Hawk. And Butch is punching him, and Butch is saying, sweet mate. That means, sweet mate means good in New Zealand, down under. Everything's good, sweet. And that Hawk thought that Butch was being fucking gay, and fucking Sweet was being gay. That Hawk fucking shoulders came out, those fists came out, and bang, 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 bang. He fought like a fucking gorilla out of that corner. Right, Butch?
He thought, we have a saying here in New Zealand, sweet as, which means sweet as, mate. Everything's sweet as, which everything is good. So I said to Hawk, he said something, we yelled out a spot, and I said, sweet as. And he said, what? He thought I said, sweet ass. And that was the whole problem.
Now, did you guys talk about the match beforehand, or did you just call it in the ring? Did you call the match in the ring, or did you talk about it beforehand?
No, we didn't. We never had a chance to talk to them, mate. In those days, you very rarely even had a chance to talk to your opponent. They'd come in even if you'd never worked with them in your life before. You might just get, the booker might tell you a finish, and that's it. You just did the match how you thought. And you ran it by listening to the people. We couldn't believe it when we went to the WWE and everything was laid out for these guys. And if they forgot a spot, they were rooted. They were stuffed. They didn't know what to do. Only the experienced guys could do that.
When we got there, Ed, everybody was experienced. Everybody had been on top in territories. In the 80s, most of Vince's talent wasn't from a school. They all came from different territories from working on top. And we'd work with most of them. We'd work with Jake. We'd work with Hacksaw. We'd work with Ted DiBiase. You know, we'd already worked with these guys in different territories on top. So you knew you knew the waltz. You know what I'm saying?
So what was it like being?
You told the finish by the booker, and that was it. You would the final part of the finish. It wouldn't be move for move and all that sort of stuff. You knew what to do to get the people up because you listened to the crowd.
Exactly.
What was your day-to-day like when you were at WWF? What was like a normal day for you guys, a daily routine?
In the WWE?
Yeah. What would you guys do? Like, what time did you wake up in the morning? What time do you have to get to the arena?
In the winter, Vince got you on the early planes to get to the town. He got you on the fucking 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock planes in case the places were frozen. You know, the airlines were down because of the weather. And then you got to the town, you rented a rental car, you fucking went to the hotel, dropped your bags off, fucking changed into your gym gear, went and worked out, and then you fucking came back. And that fence where the town was, you came back after you worked out, you showered, you went and ate, and then you headed to the fucking ring, to the arena. And then the same pattern the next day again. After the show, you'd eat about 5 in the afternoon. After the show, you'd shower, you'd eat a snack, go back to the hotel, and then get up for the plane the next day. Same routine every day. No tourist business or anything like that. It was a business. And he knew who was going to the gym. He had guys spying to make sure you got in the gym.
Yes. And Ed, you got to remember that it didn't matter what match Luke and I were on. In the end, we would always be put on the last match of the night. They would have the main event maybe just before intermission or just after, and they don't have enough. We were always the last match to send the people home happy. We were the happy pattern. They could have the angle from a main event and people would be pissed off and just about to walk out saying, fuck this, I'm not watching it anymore. And they'd hit our music and they'd say, and from New Zealand, at a combined weight of, 468 pounds, Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers, the music in it, we'd come marching out. They'd all sit down in their seats or they'd stand up and every single one of them, it'll be marching. And that's how it was. And we sent them home happy pattern. When we would leave Madison Square Gardens, you could see them doing the Bushwhacker March all around New York Central. It was so funny. We saw baseball teams like the Reds and different teams like them marching out from the dugouts out for an innings, all during the Bushwhacker March. We saw football players doing the same thing. It got over so
touchdown zone.
People loved it. Thank God. Yes.
Yeah. You're bloody, hey, Butch, you're bloody right there. Thank God. I wouldn't be doing this now if it wasn't for our gimmick. They forget about wrestlers. They remember the gimmick.
When's the last time you guys have watched one of your matches, your own matches? Do you ever sit down and watch them at all?
No, I don't.
No, fuck no. That's for the marks. That's for John and you to do. That's for you and John to do.
Listen, I saw enough of Luke's mug 24/7. I saw him when I got out of bed. I saw him in the rental car. I saw him in the plane. I saw him in the dressing room. I saw him in the bar, in the restaurants, in the gyms. I saw him every day. Do you think I need to see him now that I'm out of wrestling? For God's sake. I still love him, though. I'm
having to look, Ed, I'm having to look at Butch fucking now, but I can't fucking punch him. My arm's not long enough.
I still love the bastard. Hey.
We're like brothers. Ed, we're like brothers. We spend more time with each other than we did with our wives.
Very much. Much more so. Because in those days, you had 2 weeks on the road, Ed, and then you would come home for 3 days. No matter where you were, you could be right down the Pacific Northwest. By the time you got home, they were gone, and you still only had 2 and a bit days left. Then you were back packing your suitcase, back on the road for another 2 weeks. And then sometime... Go ahead.
But Butch, before that, Butch, we were on the road fucking 30 days a month. Two on Saturday or 2 on Sunday. 30 days a month.
Yeah, that's right. We were doing 2 shows on Saturdays and 2 shows on Sundays. It was nothing to do Madison Square Gardens on a Saturday afternoon, fly in there from somewhere else, fly into New York, do Madison Square Gardens, a 1:30 show, get that rush back to Newark Airport, get a plane up to Boston, do the Boston Gardens Saturday night, go back there, didn't get back till about, as I said, about 1 in the morning, if we were lucky, because they'd have us on last. Time we found a drink, something to eat, to bed, we were getting a wake-up call at 5, take the rental car back, and off again for another double shot on Sunday. And then the same happened on Monday. We had to get up and hit maybe 2 or 3 planes, and you're off again. It was
no, but before that,
work.
I'm talking about, Butch, I'm talking about the territorial days when we're on the fucking road. You're never home.
Yeah.
You're driving
No,
from town to
I
town to
realize that.
town to town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your wives are
And
going to
that
want to
was-
get a hold of this
once you
book
got
just to
over
read some of your
and
stories.
they were using you somewhere, you really had to put in the time in. If it was your time to collect, you didn't miss a day. When we were in Portland, Oregon, we did like about 130 days in a row without one single day off. And some of those days, many of them were double shots. Then we had one day off, and we did another 137 days in a row with no days off. We sold out. Roddy Piper told Luke this. We sold out Portland, Oregon. We sold it out 13, 14 times in a row.
Roddy told me it was 22 straight in Portland, and when we did the TV, 22 straight.
Yeah, well, he knew. He got the insights from Don Owens because Roddy used to get ideas. And Roddy and Buddy Rose, they were excellent. They were excellent to do business with. They were good businessmen. They had some way out ideas. But I'll tell you what, that was our first territory as the sheep herders, and we learned an awful lot in that territory real fast. Mainly because of Buddy Rose and Roddy Piper. Mainly. But they still had other good talent in there as well. But Roddy and Buddy had very good wrestling brains. Extremely good.
Angle-wise.
Yes, angle-wise. Great. Good workers. And
John?
Didn't matter how they looked in the ring. All they wanted to do, the same as Luke and I, was make money. Make it that the people can entertain the people and give them what they want, and you make money. You won't make money sitting on your ass talking about it. You make money doing it.
That's right. And that's why you guys are doing the Luke, how long have you wanted to do a book? How long have you guys want to do a book for?
I'm away now. I've got a meeting at 8:00 in 15 minutes away too. I gotta head out. So guys, Butch, close this book deal. Sell this fucking book. Do something. Hey, do something with your life. Good night, guys. Love you all.
Good night, Luke. We'll talk tomorrow.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
Oh,
there, mate.
See you, mate.
So, John, how long did it take you guys to start the book and finish the book? You said about a year and a half?
Honestly, probably about 2 years total up until this point. Like I said, I just got now Facebook sends those memories out, and I got a, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you, Butch.
Yeah, I can't hear John.
Okay, well, just trust me that what I'm saying is.
I can hear him.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
I can hear you.
Okay, well, I want to say yesterday or day before
Should I let you and John wrap it up, buddy? Eddie.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, Butch, thanks for coming on. I know we're pushing the Kickstarter, which we'll give the link for people if they want to go and make sure that they get a copy of the book. Butch, are you doing appearances still at all in the U.S.?
We've got something coming up next year, but it's not finalized, so I better not say what it is yet, Eddie. But Luke's.
All right.
Luke's,
well, when you find out, let us know because I'm sure people want to come see you guys.
Certainly, thank you, and thank you for having us on. And this has been great to be talking to you, mate. And,
thank you for all the memories. I definitely enjoyed you guys.
And I want to tell you, Eddie, John has done an excellent job with this book. An excellent job. He's had to put up with the shit from Luke and I and he's done it. He's done it like a true tradesman, and he's become a real close friend as well as a great business partner. So please, just watch out. You don't tell him too much, or his head won't fit through the door.
Haha.
Yay!
All right, bud.
See you,
See you later.
mate.
Thanks, Butch.
talking
Take
to you.
care.
Good night, Butch. Yeah, so I want to say it's been a little over 2 years. A couple days ago, I got a memory from Facebook, and it was the three of us doing one of our three ways that I did a screenshot of, and it said 1 year ago today. So, to this point, I'd say probably about a year, about 2 years, a little over 2 years. Definitely a work of fun. Obviously, I've grown to love these guys. They're just fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I put the link in the comment section so people can go there to check out the Kickstarter. No, when is the book out officially, or does it come out? When's it come out?
No. The book will come out. What we're doing, we decided to run the Kickstarter to give some opportunities for fans to get some things that they won't be able to get when it actually launches on Amazon, which I'm guessing will be sometime in November. So by doing the Kickstarter, they can get autographed copies. We have a limited edition copy that we're only going to have 50 numbered available for fans that will ever be released. I want to say there's probably about 8 to 10 of those left. The Kickstarter is going to be live actually till Thursday at about 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So we got about a day and a half left. We've powered past 2 of our stretch goals so far. We set a pretty low initial funding at $1,000. And tonight we just crossed $9,000. So we've had a fantastic campaign, a lot of backers. 2 stretch goals have already passed, which will get some exclusive little trinkets that are coming from the Bushwhackers to all the physical backers. So it's a good time now to jump on, grab yourself a book, maybe get some autographs, and get some of the cool free stuff that we're giving out to all the physical backers now too.
Okay. What about when's the last time that they've been together?
I want to say together here was 2015 when they were in the hall.
Wow.
So it's been a solid 7 years. There were some plans initially to have Butch come over, but then COVID hit. And there were the restrictions that New Zealand put in place were pretty rigid. So it made it, pretty much impossible. I mean, he probably could have gotten over here, but getting back would have been the bigger problem. And he really wasn't entertaining an idea of being put in solitary confinement for an indefinite period of time just so he could come and visit the States for a couple of weeks. So hopefully things will clear up. I've spoken with a couple of guys who are looking to try and bring them over maybe, or bring, obviously Luke's here, but bring Butch over hopefully within the next year or so if things can work out. But, the way the world is, things change almost on a daily basis about what you can and cannot do. So that's kind of up in the air now.
Yeah, I think that'll be. I know as a collector, I have a couple of Bushwhackers action figures that I'd love to be able to get both of their autos on. But obviously it's hard to them not being in the same room.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I tell people. One of the good opportunities about this Kickstarter is who knows if Bitch will actually ever be able to get over here. We hope so. But if not, you have an opportunity to get autographs from both Bushwhackers or Sheepherders or Kiwis, whatever your favorite rendition is. You can get them. It's not impossible. But once this Kickstarter shuts down, that's it. We're not going to be having them available on Amazon or anything like that. The book you can get, but you won't be able to get autographed copies. You will not be able to get that limited edition copy. Those things are totally exclusive to this Kickstarter.
And so what was your experience? You said this was your first non-comic that you did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how does that differ from doing a comic?
It's honestly, they each have their high points. I don't really think there's any low points to this one. I really enjoyed it. I was talking to Kenny Casanova about this the other day. It was literally like being able to have a podcast with 2 of your favorite wrestlers every week for 2 years. So, when I do a comic, especially when I work with these wrestlers, it was a similar type format. I would either get together with the guys I was working with, or I would talk to them on the phone, or we would do a video chat like this, but not to the intensity that I was doing with the Bushwhackers. I'd usually do a couple of them. Some of the guys I worked with before, being like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Killer Bees, Rock and Roll Express, those guys. But, you know, it was more of a compact story. We were taking basically an entire career and squeezing it into 24 or 48 pages. You know, so you could only get so much. With this, it's everything. I mean, we're going into their time as children. We're going into the backgrounds, as Luke was trying to say, of professional wrestling in New Zealand, because you have to understand that, which I learned as I was talking to them. You have to understand wrestling's origins in New Zealand to actually understand how these two developed as to who they were, to how the professional wrestlers they became here in the States. They wrestled an English style of wrestling. So for Americans who aren't familiar with that, in New Zealand, when they started wrestling, they wrestled in rounds, like 3-minute, 5-minute, 6-minute, 8-minute rounds, similar to boxing.
Like UFC.
Well, kind of similar. They couldn't throw punches.
Right.
If you threw a punch, you'd get arrested. The cops weren't smartened up in New Zealand. So the cops would measure the rings. If the rings didn't meet the right measurements, they wouldn't let the matches start. They actually wrestled in rings similar to boxing rings. They were 4 ropes on the rings. So you had to have the 4 ropes. It had to meet the measurements. You had to have everybody registered the day before for the police to see who was going to wrestle that night. If you threw a punch or you cheated, you could literally be arrested by the police in New Zealand. That's what these guys started in wrestling. They didn't know American-style wrestling until they eventually made their way to Australia under Jim Barnett, who had a WCW there. Jim Barnett also had wrestling in Georgia here in the States later on. That's where they were initially introduced to American-style wrestling, throwing punches, doing those types of things. So these guys were mat wrestlers. They were technical wrestlers before they ever made their way and started winging their arms and doing their hardcore stuff, even as the sheep herders. And then for people who don't realize this, they were really the innovators of hardcore wrestling. These guys were doing barbed wire and cage matches back in the 60s and 70s. Before any of that stuff ever hit ECW or anything like that. These guys were already doing it in Singapore. They were doing it in Thailand. They were doing it on the Malay Peninsula. They were doing it in Canada. They were doing all this stuff, crazy stuff, Puerto Rico, down in Panama, way before ECW was even a dream. So they were real innovators. And then Luke himself, during his in-ring career and even after, a lot of people may not realize that he was a booker. He booked a lot of the NWA territories. He booked Puerto Rico. You know, these guys really had amazing careers that in and out of the ring, some of the stuff they did. Luke, I think Luke was saying to me, his first wrestling match, he was 16 years old. And Butch was a fan. Butch used to go and watch Luke wrestle in New Zealand before Luke or Butch actually himself got into wrestling. So it's really some interesting stories that a lot of people, I'm sure, don't know about Luke and Butch, about how they worked their way up, the different people they were involved with, wrestling Andre the Giant in Australia when he used to go by the name Giant Gene Ferret before he ever became Andre the Giant. They were really close with Andre. Some great Andre stories in there, some great Hacksaw Jim Duggan stories, stories with the Nasty Boys, Hulk Hogan, you name it, it's in here. Some really, really cool stuff and interesting stuff I'm sure a lot of people have never heard.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, they've had a long career. So was it a long book? How many pages?
I usually say 360 plus. I think last time I looked, it actually comes out to 372 pages.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, yeah. So it's manageable, but it covers quite a bit. We left some stuff out, leaves us the opportunity to come back and maybe do a second one.
I mean, I like a longer book. There's nothing worse than when I'm reading a book and I'm like, oh man, it's almost finished, and I want it to keep going. You know.
Well, it's going to take. This book is going to take you a little bit of history, like Luke was saying, a little bit of New Zealand wrestling history, and then it's going to start from the day Luke was born. It's going to even tell you how he got his name. So it'll start from the day Luke was born all the way up to the 2015 Hall of Fame. So
yeah, I'm sure that they were excited to do it. But all right, so we got the link in here. So what else do you want people to do? How can they order?
Check it out. Pick up a book if it sounds interesting to you. Share it with your friends, and let's keep pushing this. If we, like I said, we crossed $9,000 earlier today. If we cross 10 by Thursday, everybody's getting some. All the physical backers, at least, are getting some free Kickstarter exclusive Bushwhacker /sheep herder bookmarks. to go with some of the other free stuff that's already out there. So yeah, keep it pushing.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, John, I appreciate you coming on. Bushwhackers was a great way to get the rust off and get the show back on the track. So
yeah, thanks, Ed. It was great chatting with you.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
And hey, I'll break the news since we're live. I don't know how many people are watching. The next project I already have lined up. Hopefully, it'll be released sometime around this time next year. I'm calling it the Pro Wrestling Cookbook, from body slams to frying pans. I've already got 40 wrestlers signed up, covering the NWA, the AEW, WWE, NJPW, AJPW. We got them all in here. ECW. It's going to be a really cool project with a lot of cool people. Some wrestlers you probably haven't heard from in a long time. We're bringing them back, and we're putting them in the kitchen, and we're getting their best recipes. So, yeah, we see them in the ring. Now we find out what they eat. So it's going to be a fun project.
Well, I hope there's like a TikTok involved or connected with that, or
we'll probably have to do that too. Yeah, we got everybody. We got everybody from the Highlanders to the Bushwhackers to ODB. I mean, you name it, we got them in this book. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks, John. Thanks for coming on tonight. We'll talk to you.
Thanks, Ed. Have a good night.
All right. See you later.
Yep.